Hey guys, welcome to another Uzima podcast, Jaba Juice Podcast, but without the Jaba Juice this time, because we're talking about essential oils, and there's no better person than Bree here, who's an essential oils expert. Yeah, welcome Bree.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yes. So what's all this?
This is one part of my treasure trove. In fact, I always joke that if you were to come and steal my essential oil collection, you have killed me because this is it.
Yeah.
know.
So interestingly, Bree works with this brand, Doterra. This is all one brand, and so she does a lot of work with them. And when you go to their website, most of these oils, especially the blends, they're so expensive. So this is really like a stash box. This is probably like worth how much here?
300, about 300.
About 300k, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is just one of.
This is just one of them.
I think she has like a meal worth of oils. But you know, it's interesting because since I got into natural wellness and healing using plants and what nature has to offer, we really kind of compromise the health of the planet. And it's anything you get right now that's organic, that's natural, is way more expensive than it should be. And so I've been finding that for the past 5 years of just shaping my life and my health and my priorities, luxury and my idea of luxury has really been shifting. So the more I've been diving into self-care, the more I see luxury as like having really good quality natural stuff. I could splurge on especially soaps and creams, and now oils. When I discovered oils, I was finished, because they feel good, they smell good, they make you look good, they boost your confidence, they teach you so much about yourself, you know, from lip balms to scrubs to superfoods and stuff. So even like as I make this joke about how much you could actually be sitting on here, it's not only the financial value of this stuff, but the energetic value of this stuff, what impact it can have.
I think in just your opening paragraph, you have talked about everything that doTERRA essential oils represent to me as a person. So I've chosen to align myself with doTERRA because of quality. And like you're saying, over the years, your idea of luxury kind of changes if you're very self-aware, And if you want to know what your priorities are, look at where you spend your money. I think that's a conversation I've been having of late with people, that you can tell what's important to you by how you spend. So everybody knows essential oils are definitely important to me because I do spend quite a bit on essential oils. I have no qualms. In fact, I was very happy when I got pure rose oil. And that costs like $400 when I got it for free, but still.
We got it the other day and I was being told
it's really expensive. But I think you have to appreciate that purity and quality does come at a cost. It shouldn't, but unfortunately it does. So for something like rose oil, for example, it takes about 5,000 petals to give you 5 millimeters of oil, and 5 millimeters of oil is something like this. This is
5,000 petals.
About 5,000 petals or more. So it's really labor and product intensive. And so when you have high quality stuff like this, it means you cannot afford to waste it. And you can't afford to use it recklessly or be careless about it. You know what I mean? And it also means that pure quality essential oils are very potent. Like I did one drop of rose oil in coconut oil to put on my face, and my face is not sensitive, but I was like, oh my goodness, this is really strong stuff.
Was it a burn?
It was just an irritation. I never feel that with oils that I use on my face, but with rose I did, which tells me that I need to dilute it. I think I can even probably make 5 drops in something like so and top it up with oil and it will still be fine. So the whole idea around what is your definition of luxury, and how do natural products contribute to self-care and wellness. I think that's another very key aspect for me when dealing and teaching about oils. Is essential oils are a form of luxurious self-care. So you find ways of incorporating oils into your routine, like when you're showering and you've had a really long day and you just want to unwind, and you put you put an oil like spearmint in the shower, and it helps you immediately. You smell it, you're like, that's self-care right there, or you wake up in the rather you're working in the afternoon and you feel like you've hit the brain fog, and you smell peppermint, for example, and you get really focused and alert. That's very affordable self-care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're making body butters and you have some shea butter and you have coconut oil and you put in a drop of rose and you put in some helichrysum because it smells really nice, and you've mixed and whipped this nice luxurious soft body butter, and every time you're putting it on your skin you can just feel this whole, like, my skin is getting a treat, my emotions are getting a treat, my senses are being treated. And I think this is the thing about oils that's just really special. It literally takes sensuality to a whole new level, and sensuality in the sense of operating with your senses.
Yeah, because you just highlighted how big that word is.
I think we have um, compartmentalized sensuality to mean one thing, when in essence sensuality is actually just really living from the full
Overall
spectrum
awareness
of
the
your senses. So what are you seeing, what are you smelling, what are you hearing, what are you tasting, what are you touching, what are you feeling? So all that together as a whole experience. So using essential oils is actually a very sensual experience.
Hey,
Yeah.
essential guys, where you at? But so a couple of interesting things there, and I want to ask you some questions. And before I do that, I would definitely, Bree's skin is looking, and her hair is looking amazing. What are some of the oils that, just off the top of your head, like what are some of the oils that would be good to either mix into a carrier oil for your face and for your hair? Because
So I think you have to be very understanding or aware of what your skin needs are. But as a general rule, floral oils are very good for skincare. So your rose, your neroli, your lavender, your geranium, ilang. I personally would use it in like a very small dose, not too much. Helichrysum is really really nice. Blue tansy is another one that's very good. Yarrow.
I haven't started using any on my skin, so I'm excited.
I think if you start with just even a basic lavender, good quality lavender, it will work.
I do lavender on my hair.
It will work
I
really
add it
well.
in the shea butter.
Yeah.
So Natural Lamu.
Yes.
Shout out to them, another Kenyan natural brand, but they have this new coconut oil with ilang. And at first I wasn't into floral oils. When I got into oils, I was ushered into the lemongrass, the
Citrusy mostly.
So that was my thing. The peppermints, the tea trees, the most common ones.
The most common ones,
those
and
are
that
the most common ones.
yeah.
And like having interacted with you a bunch of times, now I get it. I see like the bigger picture. But for sure, floral oils are really growing on me. So this coconut with ilang is now like my favorite oil to use. When I was in Lamo, the whole time I had shea butter that was whipped in lemongrass, but it was too heavy on my hair when I was in the coast, weirdly enough, and on my skin. But the ilang,
it's just nice and soft,
perfect.
and
It was
gentle.
so soft, gentle. I smelled good the whole day, and even speaking about sensuality, like I personally feel that my sensuality has really grown. I'm really in touch with my senses. I can read environments and interpret them without words, without relying on one specific sense. You know what I mean? It's become more diverse. So it's good to know that you can use floral scents, especially for the skin. I'm gonna start doing that. When did you talk about teaching? Like, when did you get into? How long have you been teaching, and what was your gateway?
So, I think for me, teaching started about 5 years ago.
Wow,
No,
5
not
years.
necessarily 5 years ago. My foray into essential oils started 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It was
Yeah.
an accident. I mean, I had acne and my skin broke out, and I was like, what do we need to do? Then I got into this website, and she's talking about tea tree and who. I went to the pharmacy at Galeria, and they had this really big 30 ml bottle of tea tree. It smelled so bad, but at the time I was so desperate, I was willing to try anything.
Yeah.
And I tried, and it seemed to work. And then I started going to Healthy You, and I picked up all the most expensive and the names I could not pronounce. Those are the ones I picked. So I picked Ilang Ilang, I picked Neroli, I picked Geranium, I picked. And then one morning, March 2015 to be precise, I remember journaling in the morning and saying, God, give me the best essential oils there are, and I will go all the way with them. And you know how sometimes you have those random prayers and you're like, yeah, you don't even know where it comes from, but it has just come. And then I got this lady who reached out, and we organized everything, shipping what in 3 months. No, actually around November, my first Doterra kit came, and the
Yeah.
first oil I smelled was wild orange.
Yeah.
And I knew I had found the oils.
Yeah.
I just knew it. So from 2015 to date, I've only been using Doterra oils myself. Um, Teaching was a happy accident, because you know how you have something that's really cool and you want to share with other people. Then I was like, okay. So I started small time here, there. I remember my first workshop was at Africa Yoga Project. I think I had a couple of people. It was very exciting. Then I stopped. Then my friend Patrick and his partner at the time, they said, why don't you start doing yoga and essential oils? I mean, I'd been playing around with different oils. I'd started just exploring and becoming curious.
Yeah.
So we started doing yoga and essential oils, which proved to be very popular, and it's one of my favorite classes actually to teach. And then I realized I could actually make classes out of this, because I know how to use oils in so many ways. I've had years of experience of doing this, and I love it. So I'm like, how do you start teaching people? So
Yeah.
you started finding different areas and classes
Yeah.
to teach. Then I realized, oh yeah, I also have an Instagram account. I can also use that to kind of help create awareness and spread awareness about essential oils. And then as it happened, COVID happened, and everybody's now talking about essential oils. It's become a huge buzzword. And on one hand, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's a lot of cause for concern, because there's a very big difference between a fragrance oil and a therapeutic grade oil.
And what's the difference between a fragrance and a therapeutic
A
oil?
fragrance oil is just that, fragrance, just smells. And unfortunately, because to be honest, the essential oil industry has literally grown from when I started to what it is now.
It's
It
grown.
has exponentially grown. And
Yeah.
what happens when something is popular and there's demand for it? People want to meet supply. People want to meet the supply, and they will do anything and everything to get to that level. So adulteration is common, contamination is common, and unfortunately, if you don't know the markers to look out for a pure oil, and you're not working with a reputable company, or you're buying oils for the sake of buying oils, and you're not aware, because there's a lot of science that is actually involved in essential oils. So if you're just buying oils for the sake of having oils, and you think, you're doing yourself a major disservice. It's just like food, if you're going to eat, if you're going to buy food that hasn't been grown properly, or you're just going to buy food for the sake of having food, you're not serving your body in any way. So you may have eaten food, but it's not doing anything to you.
So It's interesting for sure because this is one of the reasons why I'm honored to do this podcast. I I've been doing my entry into well-being was food, nutrition, and alkaline foods. I lean more towards like the Dr. Sebi philosophy because it works best for my body. But there's been a rise in well-being and wellness and yoga and all this over the past few years. But for sure, just like with anything, once things become a trend, then there's so many profits, there's so many this and that. So I really want Uzima Network to be like a point place where if you come to our channel or anything, you're gonna find the right information, and it's gonna reduce the confusion or the period of trial and error before finding yourself.
right one. Yeah.
So a lot of people get discouraged on this journey, because they just try so many different things and never you could circle the right thing for years, and then you're just like, you know what, it's just not for me. So that's one of the reasons. So I'm glad you said that. And then two is that, I mean, essential oils in Kenya lately, I've been seeing even on my Instagram page just sponsorships for locally made oils.
Yes.
And there's definitely a lot of science that goes into it. I recall when we last talked, you mentioned this one oil that I don't know does what in your brain. Frankincense. Yeah. Can you just talk about that, because that blew my mind, and it showed me that there's science to all this stuff, and it's one of the special things about oils.
So essential oils are made of different arrangement of chemical compounds.
Yeah.
That's the starting point, and that is how what would explain why lavender from Bulgaria and lavender from Kenya could be different. They could both be lavender, but they could be different in terms of chemical composition.
Yeah.
And chemical composition plays an ultimate role in how the essential oil will interact with your whole body. So there are different types of chemical compounds. There are esters, there are ketones, there are sesquiterpenes, there are terpenes, there are monoterpenes. There are all these things, and each of these chemical compounds have a very specific role and interaction with different parts of your body. So take the case of frankincense, for example, because it has sesquiterpenes, and the sesquiterpenes enable it to really just pass that blood-brain barrier. When you start understanding how the anatomy of the human body works, and how the chemical composition of an essential oil works, and you find that, like I've said, different chemical constituents interact differently with different parts of the body, which you'll find, that's why you'll find like something like frankincense is really good for the brain. Rosemary interacts very well with the brain. Citrus oils, because they have limonene in them, are very good for detoxifying and cleansing the body, for example. You have pink peppers, juniper berries, work very well with the lymphatic system. There are oils that have an affinity for the endocrine system. There are oils that have an affinity for the reproductive system. There are oils that have an affinity for your skin. So all this is just really researching and looking into the science behind it. That's a very crucial part if you're going to use essential oils for healing. And that's why I keep saying essential oils are like medicine. You want to treat them with the respect that they deserve.
So you said that there's a lot that goes into essential oils, and if they're going to be used for healing, they must be treated with the respect they deserve. Just to clarify, us guys are not doctors.
No.
This is a self-care talk. This is from our personal self-care routines, and this is what Uzima Network is about. We're not doctors, but we're into self-care, and it doesn't hurt to share our experiences with people. And that's Bree for you. I remember how I found out about you is that I once came for this yoga class with Joanne at Viking House, and you were co-teaching, and it just blew my mind how in every pose you introduced a new oil and you talked about it and its benefits. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. Again, I was just at the lake show with oils. I knew you can use lemongrass with this, and at the time, I think I ingested a few oils that I didn't need to ingest.
Yeah.
Because I used to put them in my hot water. So talk about oils and being able to ingest oils and the oils you shouldn't ingest and what that whole spectrum looks like.
So my I teach people that if you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah.
if you're not sure of your oils, if you're
Yeah.
not sure of what you're doing, don't try and be a ninja. Stay away from it. You won't die.
Yeah.
Aromatic and topical use of essential oils are equally effective ways of using oils. You don't have to ingest it. However, if you are going to ingest oils, please use your common sense. Number one, read your labels. I
Yeah.
think with everything now, it's becoming very important to read your labels. Understand what are your oils, what are the usage instructions, what are you supposed to do, what can't you do. If your brand says don't ingest, don't ingest.
Yeah.
However, for Doterra, we've got a very clear way of knowing what to do. So,
Yeah.
for example, with grapefruit, it's marked as essential oil supplement, which means you can take it internally.
Yeah.
Then
I
for
want to take the grapefruits.
for,
Next.
for something like cypress, it's just marked essential oil.
Yeah.
You cannot take that internally.
Yeah.
For something like citrus bloom, it's marked essential oil blend. You also can't take that internally. But a general rule of thumb is, can I take the plant equivalent in real life? Can I eat a grapefruit?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Can I eat a cypress tree? No, I can't. So obviously I can't ingest it. And then there are precautions you have to take. So one, you want to use a glass or stainless steel container for the simple reason that essential oils, these are chemical compounds, so they will corrode plastic. And I have seen that. I saw that. I think one of my earliest experiments with oils was putting oils in plastic cup, and I literally saw it corrode before my eyes. So you don't want to use a styrofoam, or you don't want to use plastic. You want to use glass or stainless steel to be safe. And then you want to go slowly. If you're going to use a glass, take a toothpick, dip it in, and put it in, or a drop, because what are you doing taking 3 drops of oils at once? You want to, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're getting into it, you want to build up
Pace yourself,
slowly.
yeah.
And my personal rule is I can't take more than 10 drops of oil during the course of the day internally.
Yeah.
It's either between 1 and 8, not more than 10. That's just unnecessary and too much.
Yeah. Okay. Two things. So first of all, just to take you back, when you're talking about how you started off because of a skin breakout. I remember when I was younger, in my, I think 20s, early 20s, like 2019, 18 there. That's when my skin was breaking and everything was just going crazy. But now my skin is way better than it's ever been, and clearly yours is way better than it's ever been. So it's just an interesting observation that when you start engaging with plants and natural products and just understanding yourself and what works for you and what doesn't, the body almost gets better with age if you treat it right, which is why this luxury pays off, because you're investing in your being, in your experience here. I remember when this came out and I was smelling through the different oils, something I realized is that they induce such presence. If you really surrender, take time and smell it, and allow beyond smelling for the fragrance, if you're interacting with the oil and you're allowing it to just do whatever it's gonna do, based on its interaction with your nervous system, with your body, then it takes you on a journey, and all oils, they make me much more present, because even smelling it is a form of mindfulness. You're tuning out of what's around you, what's in your mind, what's in your heart, to just focus on this plant. So it's very meditative and very calming. And I think that in this day and age, being able to be calm and present is like a superpower.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, so I would definitely recommend essential oils if you're trying to become more mindful. And obviously check out Bree and other people with proper information to learn more. But another thing is just talk about briefly, um, the we mentioned the florals being good for the skin. I wanna, yeah, go in that direction just generally.
Okay, so essential oils have this very beautiful quality of being adaptogenic.
Yeah,
And an adaptogen is, something that adapts to your situation. So
your
if something is
physiology. Yeah,
your physiology, yes
I'm
sir.
getting good with the
No,
words.
yes sir. So if something is too high,
Yeah.
it can bring it back low. If something is too low, it can bring it up high. And it, by so
Mm.
doing, brings about homeostasis and balance
Balance.
in your whole being.
Yeah.
That's one thing about oils. The other thing about oils is that they are oh gosh, that has just slipped my mind. Let me
Trace your steps.
retrace my steps. What am I going to say? They are adaptogenic. They bring about homeostasis. They work where they are needed. So oils, they're biointelligent, and there's a concept known as biofeedback, which for me I think is also very fascinating, where the cells in your body and the cells in the compounds in the essential oils communicate. So oils will go where they're needed to bring about change where they're needed. For me, that's very, very spectacular.
That's biointelligence.
Yeah, I'm not like wow. And then
Just like foods.
you're like how is that even possible? Like this
Yeah.
is something much bigger than us at work
Yeah.
that has created. And in certain languages, I remember I've always said, I learned that plants mean those who are in service to human beings. And I think that's what makes the relationship between plants and human beings very symbiotic
Yeah.
and very beneficial
Yeah.
to human beings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then essential oils are also they influence the whole body system: physical, mental, emotional, and
Spiritual. Yeah,
energetic.
energetic,
So
yeah.
different oils will make you feel something. And so for people who are, I don't want to say not self-aware, but for people who doubt that this actually works, it's like when you talk such things, it's like, oh my god, that is so woo woo.
Yeah,
That's not true.
yeah,
But
it's that hippie talk.
exactly. But what you need to do is you want to notice
Yeah.
a lot of the impact of essential oils. Most of the time, in fact, you won't be aware of it until you are consciously noticing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
People want to use lavender and say, oh, I slept like a baby, so lavender works. But if I was to tell you, for example, that lavender is one of the best oils for self-care because it helps you understand what your needs are from an energetic perspective and helps you give voice to your needs, you'll probably look at me and think like, hippie,
Yeah. Yeah.
woo woo,
Yeah.
what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
But it really requires you to have a lot of, like you said, presence,
Yeah.
mindfulness,
Surrender,
understanding.
open-mindedness, yeah.
Open-mindedness is
Yeah.
very important
Yeah.
if you want to see beyond the physical effects, because trust me, the physical effects of essential oils are very fascinating. It's like very exciting. You haven't been sleeping for the last 3 months, but all of a sudden you put 2 drops of lavender on
sleep.
your pillow and you can sleep. You're like, woohoo.
Yeah.
But if you want to go slightly deeper, that requires a lot of work, a lot of awareness, a lot of noticing, a lot of care, a lot of sensual awareness, and bringing all that in so that you're able to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But back to your question, which I kind of
No,
went.
You gave it a background.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here we are, florals on the physical level. Oh yeah, this is where I was going with this. I wanted to break down the different classes of oils.
Yeah.
And I wanted to break down what they do physically.
Yeah.
And then what they do for us on an emotional, mental, energetic level. So flowers are good for the skin.
Yeah.
But on a deeper level, they help us nurture ourselves. They encourage us to enjoy beauty. Just think about your favorite flower. Think about what you feel when you have like a rose, or if you like lilies and how they make you feel beautiful, and you just enjoy life. So flowers help us connect with that part of pleasure, of beauty, of looking after ourselves, of nurturing of ourselves, of being kind to ourselves, of softness, on that line. Then we've got the citrus oils. On a physical level, are very cleansing and detoxifying for the body, and you can actually use citruses even for cleaning your house. And because they contain limonene, they just do a really beautiful job at that, right? But on a more energetic level, when you smell a citrus, like when you eat an orange and you have that orange smell on your hands, and you're just so happy, and you feel like it does the same thing mentally. It helps us really feel uplifted and feel happy and generally joyous, right? Then tree oils have this thing of being very calming and very grounding. So they work well with the nervous system and the immune and such kind of support. And when you think of a tree and how it's really rooted and grounded down, it's the essential oil does the same thing. So if you're feeling like you're all over the place and you just need a little bit of stability, go for a tree oil, something like Douglas fir, Siberian fir. Go for something like black spruce, which is really, really nice. Let me see what else I have here. Yeah, go for cypress and go for cedar wood as well. Those are really
sandalwood.
Sandalwood
which
also.
Is rare now.
It is very rare, and that's why you also want to pay attention to the company that you're working with, because sustainability has to be a part of the plan. If your company is just using oils and harvesting now with no thought of what happens 10, 20, 30 years from now, you have a problem. You've got the spice oils, the cinnamons, the cardamoms, the cassia, the turmeric. Would I call it? Would I call it a spice really? Clove. And they serve to bring in that passion and that punch and that kick. So if you're feeling bored and disinterested and you want to infuse a bit of flavor into your life, go for a spice oil. And these have a tendency to be very hot, so you want to be very careful with them and not put them too close to your nose, otherwise you will burn yourself. Speaking from experience. But yeah, and these, personally for me, I find that spice oils, I use them like once in a while. But when you need that passion infused in your life, that's what you'd go for. You've got herbal oils. You've got your thyme, your oregano, you've got your
sage.
You have your, let me see, what, basil. You actually have basil. You have celery seed and stuff like that.
Rosemary.
Your rosemary. Herbs also are there to infuse like flavor, but from a physical level, herbs are very good for sickness, like, and immunity. So if I had a cold coming along, for example, I would do oregano and maybe tea tree and do a steam bowl like that, and kind of just help clear and fight infections. What oils have I left out? I think that's pretty much it. But a general way to think about this is, look at yourself as a plant. Look at the plant. So if you need some anchoring down, you go for a root oil. If you need support, you go for a tree oil. If you want support with respiratory, you go for a leaf oil, because that's the role of leaves in the plant, is to help the plant breathe. If you want fruits and flowers, it has everything to do with reproduction and shining and blossoming. So you've got that. What else do we look at? Just
bark.
The bark is protection. So frankincense, myrrh, copaiba come from the resin, come from the bark of the trees, and so they're also very good for skin care. And so when you're also feeling like you just need a little bit of extra like protective support, you go for a bark oil.
So last thing that I'd like to ask, it's just a bit personal, so you don't have to answer, but just talking about how oils are impacting you even as a mom to be. Maybe there's people who would really benefit from that. A lot of young, amazing women would benefit from that?
I think, I've always known without a doubt that if I ever got pregnant, I was going to use essential oils. For me, there was no doubt about it. So I'm happy that I'm able to kind of put that into practice. Number one, I'm not afraid of using oils. There's a lot of avoid. Okay, it's a cautionary statement because people can react differently. But for me, I'm not afraid of using oils, partly because I trust my body to know what oils I need, and also because I'm using very high quality oils. So I really honestly have nothing to be afraid of. And I understand the safety implications of the different oils. So what I realized through my pregnancy journey, and it's something I'll be speaking about a bit later, is I was drawn more to the softer oils. So instead of using peppermint, I will use spearmint. Instead of using tea tree, I'm drawn to nayuli, which is a softer version of tea tree. I'm using a lot of floral oils because I feel like for me it's very nurturing and very comforting, so that's what I'm using. I'm using fennel, and fennel because being a new mom, being a first-time mom, it's a whole responsibility. It's a whole new responsibility, and I feel like fennel is very supportive in understanding what that now would look like and really embracing that.
So fennel is the oil of responsibility.
Yeah. Actually, it is the oil of responsibility. It smells like licorice though. So for me, I'm also drawn a lot to the citruses as well, and that's and maybe a bit of the grounding oils.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thanks, Bree. It's been great. I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover. So yeah, I think we're going to wind up, and that was really, really informative. We've covered everything that we wanted to cover. The rest, you should definitely check out Bree's workshops, which people can find where?
Different classes. I normally post them on Instagram at Bree Orata. The one thing I'm really excited that I'm doing is I'm teaching an essential oils 101.
Yeah.
And it's a 10-day immersion on WhatsApp. My second class is currently ongoing.
Yeah.
And I love teaching these classes because different groups have different questions, and it's such an enriching and intimate experience. So we go through the top three Doterra oils, the introductory oils: lavender, lemon, and peppermint. And over the course of 10 days, I teach you how to incorporate essential oils into your lifestyle. One of the things that people are afraid of, I realize, is you think it's such a complicated thing when actually it's not.
It's not complex.
And so I teach you how to bring essential oils into your self-care routine, so it doesn't feel like a chore. And so I teach you all that. You ask your questions, no questions are off limits. And I think this is also a very important consideration when you're choosing a practitioner. You want to be with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, and who knows how to guide you through your questions. And I really pride myself on that. I'm like, there is nothing that is off limits. Ask, you will be answered. You have access to me, you have access to my experience and my personal interactions with the oils, and I'll always help you find a way around it. So my second class is currently full. I'm probably going to do the next one early next year, because clearly right now that's out of the question. But early next year, so it costs 5,000 shillings, and I'll kind of put the blurb out next year to have the next group coming in. I'm very excited about that one.
It's a good investment. I really believe that when you invest in self-care, especially things that impact more than one aspect of your being, it brings a wholesomeness and an energy that attracts the right things. So it's a spiritual investment that will translate in every area of your life. Thanks for watching. We're gonna link Bree everywhere, so you can check her out. And thank you for your time, Bree.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's always fun.
Always.
It's always fun.
Always.
Yeah.
All right. Ciao. Now.